To be fair to her, though, I do not work out. So, you know, but I was probably going to start, and I needed to get all this stuff there. Do you ever get in those fights, like you'll be at home, like you and your spouse, and you guys are not talking to each other, and you're in the house together, no kids, the house is quiet, and you just stay on opposite ends, and then you pass each other in the hallway? That's like the funniest part of it, because you don't live in a mansion, you have one hallway. And you just didn't time it out right, and you just have to walk by each other like strangers. You're like, oh, excuse me, sorry, yeah, no, go ahead. She'll be watching TV, I'm like, ma'am, are you watching this? I couldn't tell, I was gonna change it if you weren't watching it. Silent treatment. The silent treatment is, it's a very common thing. Everybody knows what it is. I think women are just born knowing it. I don't think you're taught it. I don't think it's like, my mom did it and her mom. It's an instinct that's in us all, that we all just know. And here's what made me think of that. I rewatched the movie Sixth Sense. And I'm not trying to do a Sixth Sense joke. This is a 20-year-old movie. I also have to spoil it, but it's 20 years old. So if you don't know by now, I don't know what to tell you, you know? And don't be like, we were going to watch it tonight. We're going to go to Blockbuster on the way home, and so he's dead the whole time. And I don't know. I mean, if you haven't seen it, it's a pretty big part of it. But for those that have, think about when you watched it. When we all saw this movie for the first time, none of us knew he was dead. That was the biggest surprise we've ever seen in our life, you know? We just thought his wife wasn't talking to him for like a year. That made more sense to us than him possibly being dead. And I was like, when I watched it, I was like, show him dying? Yeah, that guy shoots him with a gun. That's how the movie starts. That's how obvious they're like, hey, he's dead. And we still watched it for 2 hours, just like, I know what this guy's going through, you know? This is a movie about marriage and how hard marriage is. Yeah, even if you get shot, it's your fault. Very exciting. It's crazy. Look, if you're at home, I'm as shocked as you are that I'm here. So, it's, you know, I've come to this building for a long time, and so it's unreal to be here at this Saturday Night Live, which is crazy. It's all right there. My name is Dave Bargatze. I'm from Tennessee. I'm from the 1900s. And, I just think you gotta say it. Like, the world is so future now, and I feel in the way of it. Hotels are futuristic. Like, you go, like, you take a shower, the shower's enclosed, but now a lot of hotels have half a glass and water gets on the floor. And that's the future. That's what the future, that's what they want. And, you know, I would like a whole glass. They do half a glass because I'm still alive, so they're like, they don't want to hear me going, where's the glass at? So they do half a glass, and then the future, the floors are always wet. Every floor. I mean, I'm 44. My daughter's 11. When she's my age, it will be 2057. I don't even believe that's a real year. My movies didn't go that high in fake years. How am I going to talk to someone from 2057? I have more in common with a pilgrim. I saw too much old-timey stuff. I'm pre-internet. I mean, we go to a county fair, Wilson County Fair, and this is in Tennessee, if you're wondering. And we would go there. Fairs, I don't know how they're still open, but I don't think the government knows about them. I don't know, we ride these rides that were on the interstate an hour ago. So my dad is a magician, if you don't know. And we would go watch him perform. This is the 80s. So we'd go watch him. My dad's doing magic. Right next to him, they had donkeys jumping off a high dive into a pool. So pretty tough to keep people's attention when my dad is like, is this your card? And everybody's like, hold on, this donkey's about to jump off this high dive. That's something you don't think you want to see till it's up there. And I use the word jump very loosely. Yeah, these donkeys are falling off this high dive, but can't put that on the sign, you know? Gonna watch a donkey fall off a high dive? You're like, no. What if he jumped? Well, at least he's into it. Just so you know, PETA shut that down. And yeah, and that was one everybody was like, we get that one. There's another one PETA had to shut down. So this is also in the 80s, pre-internet. You could fight an orangutan. You could fist fight an orangutan. This was offered. We didn't have a lot going on. This is what we had to do. And so orangutan would be in a boxing ring with boxing gloves on, and it would stand like this. And then a guy would pay $5. It wasn't for free. You would pay, and then he'd go in there, and this orangutan would just knock this dude out. Because we didn't have the internet to look up how strong's an orangutan. So, yeah, it was, you know, it was all word of mouth back then. You had to meet a guy that just fought an orangutan. And you're like, are they strong? You're like, yeah, dude. Like, but the arms are skinny. I know. That's what I thought as well. That strength comes from somewhere. I don't read. Yeah, and I think that matters. Reading is the key to smart, I believe. And I don't do it. I think it's caught up to me. I want to do it. I like the idea of reading. I even buy books. But these books are the most words. And it's every book. You just open it and you're like, what are you talking about? And they don't let up. Every page, just more words. How about you put some blank pages in there? Why don't you let me get my head above water for 2 seconds? She runs everything. She does stuff, doesn't tell. We got a new roof, and I did not know that. A whole new roof. I found out from my neighbors. They were like, how's that new roof going? I go, I don't know what you're talking about. And they go, you didn't know you got a new roof? I go, no, I did not. And then I had to go get her. You gotta go talk to them about that new roof you didn't tell me about. I look like an idiot out there. All right, this is it. This is fun, huh? This is, yeah. I mean, let me tell you, 20 has been my favorite year. Out of all the years, this has been the best one. I mean, you know, there's aliens. They said there's UFOs. And no one cares. That's... What kind of year could you have that you could sneak in? Hey, everybody, on the news. They're at the end of the news. They go, there's UFOs. And you're like, oh, do they have COVID? And you're like, no. Like, I don't know. They won't get tested. But what's funny, I told my wife that. I said, they said there's UFOs. And she just went about her day. I mean, just, nobody even watch this and be like, oh, I didn't even hear that. And that's the point. That's how amazing 2020 has been. I also feel this is a good year to see where your friends are at. You know, like, you want to be in the middle, I think. And I got friends that they take a shower with their mask on. And they sleep with the mask on because they have a hamster, and the hamster probably has it. And they live alone. It's just them and the hamster. And I also have friends that I don't think have even heard about COVID. It's like someone told them to try to go get it. That's how they're living. I have friends too that they tell me they already had it. They're like, I had it. I had a fever. February, had a fever for a couple hours, so probably had it. I had one friend, he told me he had it in 2015. Convinced. He goes, I had it in 2015. I was the first, and it just didn't catch on like it has now. But I can tell you one thing that's gone forever is coughing in public. That's a wrap. I mean, you drink water wrong at a restaurant, just go walk in traffic. The whole restaurant just stops. Your table would be like, get out of here. Get out of here. And you know who that's going to hurt the most to cough in public? My parents. That's what I feel, because that's one of their favorite things to do, cough in public. They love it. That's all they do. They cough everywhere. My dad's choking constantly. If he's not choking, that's when we get worried. That's how much choking he's doing. We go to a restaurant, and they're like, is you okay? I'm like, oh, I didn't even, yeah, that's just what he does, you know? I've been doing these drive-in shows, these movie theater shows, and my buddy Nick Novicki's been with me, and Nick's a little person, very fun. We started comedy together. It's very fun to be friends with. He very easy to trick. We were once at a coffee shop, and I was sitting near us with a big husky dog, and Nick just goes, hey, you think that's a wolf? And I just said, yeah, I do think it's a wolf. They just passed a law that if you can catch a wolf, you can have it as a pet. And he goes, should I go ask him about it? I was like, I mean, absolutely, you know? I mean, he wants to talk about it. That's why he brought that wolf out here. And I watched him walk over to him and just go, excuse me, is that a wolf? And the guy, I mean, he didn't really know how to answer it. He said, what? I mean, you think I brought a wild wolf to this coffee shop? And the wolf's just being cool about it? It's not losing its mind right now? We took a trip to Florida, to Fort Lauderdale. And her and our daughter are flying from Nashville, where we live. And I'm flying from Detroit. We're meeting at Fort Lauderdale's airport. I have to find them when they land. So I called her, because I was about to take off, and I was like, all right, what time do you guys leave? She goes, noon. And it was 11:30, and they're still at home. I was like, Laura, I don't know if you even know what an airport is. But if that plane was in our driveway, I don't think you could make it. And she said, that's what time we leave for the airport. Our flight's not till 1:30. And I was like, all right. So, what do you think I wanted to know when I asked that? Is that what you thought the best time you could give me was a time that means nothing to nobody? What time did you go to bed last night? Just tell me that. I'll just look up all the planes that land in Florida, and I'll guess which one I think you're on. She said, I'm sorry I don't talk the way you want me to talk. I'm like, I want you to talk like a regular person, all right? Like you've been around people before, you know? We didn't talk in Florida, I'll tell you that. She's good at not talking to me. She can go a long time. And I'm married, and me and my wife were in Nashville last summer, and we went out on the lake with some of our friends, and we were floating around in the water, and there was a guy in a boat, like right next to us, and my wife was like, oh, that's my ex-boyfriend in that boat. I didn't know who he was. She didn't have to say anything at all. She was just basically like, are you having fun? Because I would like to put a stop to that and make you stare at this guy the rest of the day. So I'm staring at him, and then I look at her, and she's staring at him, and I feel like she's staring at him to see what her life would be like if she didn't marry me. So I started staring at him, because I was like, I'm gonna see what my life would be like if I didn't marry her, you know? We were both putting so much pressure on this guy, and we stared at him for a while. He did nothing exciting. We basically both just realized we don't have a boat. But My friends were like, you should have went and tried to fight him, you know? Why didn't you go fight him? And I was like, I don't know, because I would have had to swim over to that fight. I don't know how intimidating that is for a guy to see a head in a life jacket floating his way. I had to take reading. I took reading. I drove to that class. I drove to a reading class. I'm not even an immigrant. I am from here. I should have knocked that out years ago. Everything, I think they were just impressed when you made it to the class. They were like, look who made it today, buddy. You're like, funny guys. These are good. The best. One of my favorite ones was, this was forever ago. We're going to a friend's house, and it was a 4-flight walk-up. And so, 4 flights, obviously I walk faster than Nick, and I used to wait for him, but we've just been friends too long. I can't. We're like an old married couple. I'm just gone. So where we were going, and I knew that he did not. So I leave him, and I go into my buddy's apartment. I was like, Nick doesn't know where you live. So that's fun, you know, just see what happens. About 30 minutes go by. Nick finally comes into the apartment, and I asked him, I was like, where were you? He goes, I didn't know where to go. And I go, I know. So, like, I mean, you've been gone for a long time. You know, did you go back outside? He goes, I've been in someone else's apartment all this time. He went into someone's, he was just trying handles. And the door opened, he walked in, said, I'm with Nate, and went and sat on their couch. That's how far he made it. Think about where your couch is. That's how deep he made it into their place. And he's so confident, I mean, they had to be like, I don't know, maybe we know a Nate, you know? We live, so in our neighborhood, we live in a cul-de-sac, which is very exciting because I grew up on a straight street, and I always dreamed of living in a cul-de-sac. You see them and you're like, can you imagine being up in one of those? We do all the cul-de-sac stuff, you know, like if anybody comes down there, we're like, what are you doing down? Just any, like, you better get out of our cul-de-sac. Like, we have one dog. I would like another dog. My wife does not want another dog because it's a lot. It's a lot to have 2 dogs because you gotta open the back door and let 2 dogs out. Then you shut it. And now they're out there. You're inside, not dealing with it. But then they want to come back and you're like, gotta go let all these dogs back in. You're like, 1 dog, 2, look at all these dogs everywhere. Look, to be honest, I've never taken care of the 1 dog we have, but 2 would be fun. Our dog sleeps in our bed, and someone told me you're not supposed to do that because you lose dominance over the dog. And I asked him, I said, what year do you think it is? These are all doodles. They're barely dogs. It's a person. They're people. This guy acts like it's 1980 when you kept the dog outside all year. Those you needed dominance over. You had a wolf in the backyard. Friends come over, you want to go outside? I wouldn't. I think they took it as like, look, you guys are getting kidnapped. There's nothing we can do. It's happening. So they wanted us to be prepared for it. So instead of, like, I don't know, self-defense, give us a gun, I don't know, something. What they did was, like, you know, you always hand out flyers if a kid goes missing. They were like, let's just get that flyer ready. We'll just do that, you know? So kid goes missing, they always have a flyer. They put a picture of the kid and all the information below the flyer. So the height, weight, eye color, all that stuff. So instead of making a flyer, what they made us do was we wrote on a piece of paper our name, height, weight, eye color, and then we just held it up against a wall, and they just took care of us. So the picture is us holding our own information.